Welcome to the Social Mission Revolution.
Each week we explore some of the greatest undertold stories of businesses and everyday people who are making their ultimate impact on the world through social mission. This is Social Mission Revolution,
And this is your host, Andrea Putting.
Welcome to the Social Mission Revolution, and today I'm here with Alison Smith, and we're going to talk about mumMEcations. And she's the founder, director, and
Chief of Self-Care, I call myself.
and the Chief of Self-Care. I couldn't remember the Chief.
Yeah, instead of a CEO, it's a bit different.
Yeah, I like it. I like a bit of self-care. That's very important. So welcome, Alison.
Thank you, Andrea.
So I'd love to start with the question that I always ask everybody, is if there was just one thing for you to fight for, what would that be?
I've had to think about this. It's a tricky one because I feel like there's a lot of things, but my main ambition, I guess, and passion after becoming a mum myself is definitely I would really like to see the role of the mum be, I guess, more respected and valued and shared and supported, particularly after the last couple of years we've experienced. That's what I'm seeing, the gap. There needs to be a bit more support for the mum.
Absolutely. And, yeah, it's an important area that does get not thought about.
Yes, I absolutely agree. Yep.
So, Alison, tell us about mumMEcations and where that all comes from.
So I founded mumMEcations back in January 2019 and officially restructured to a not-for-profit in March this year. I'm currently going through the process of applying for my charity and deductible gift recipient status. So that's my big goal for next year, and hopefully I'll be able to achieve that within the next few months. I guess my background is based around travel. Travel is my world. I'm obsessed with travel, always have been. And I spent a lot of time working and living overseas and traveling in my pre-mum, my old life, I like to call it. And I guess the transition to becoming a mum and what that means for your travel life is quite huge. And, to be honest, I experienced quite a difficult transition to motherhood. I had a very difficult birth with my first daughter, around 8 years ago, and developed postnatal depression and feel like I completely lost my identity. And I went on to have another daughter 4 years later. And when she was 7 months old, my mum unfortunately passed away. And I was a stay-at-home mum with the two girls and dealing with my grief from my mum passing and trying to support my dad. And probably around 5 or 6 months later, I fell in a bit of a heap, and I had this amazing opportunity come up to travel to northwest Indonesia and work with a charity supporting vulnerable women and children in the villages. And I didn't think my hubby was going to be too keen for me to go, so I sat on it a couple of days and then asked him, and he gave me his full support. And I literally checked out of my mum life for 8 days, flew over, spent amazing week in the remote villages with hardly any internet connection, doing some administration work and some hands-on work supporting this organisation. And I came home just feeling so much more like myself and got my mojo back a little bit. And I came back with a passion and determination to help other mums take their time out for themselves to, I guess, prioritise self-care and to find their old self and what they were passionate about. Becoming a mum doesn't mean that you have to put your life on hold, I guess, to a certain extent, and it's hard to find your passion and what you want to do afterwards. And that's how mumMEcations was founded, basically.
That's wonderful. I start to think back, because it's a long time since I had children, and I now have grandchildren.
Oh, wow.
So I've been reminded yesterday, I sit there with these two little tots. One's still a baby. She's 8 months old, and my grandson he's 2, he'll be 3 in February. And so it completely exhausts me in every moment. It's just like, and I go, how did I ever do this 7 days a week?
Absolutely. 24 hours a day, basically.
24 hours a day. And while I'm really glad to be able to hand them back to my daughter, I just think, how is she coping with this and work? It is so, it's full on. Is she in Melbourne too? Yes.
Yeah, so she's been through an insane couple of years with the kids at home and China. It's chaotic. I think that's the best way to describe, the juggle between working and running the house and organising everything for the kids. And just in the fast-paced world, I feel like it's becoming more hectic and chaotic, particularly after COVID. Everyone's trying to catch up with work, or I know myself, I really struggled during COVID lockdowns. I also do contract work for the NDIS as a support coordinator, which is from home, and the juggle between having the full responsibility of home remote learning, childcare with limited supports, and work, it was horrendous, absolutely horrendous. And it's exhausting, and I feel like I read an article recently about the great exhaustion, they're calling it, after the pandemic, the last couple of years, and it's just so real for mums at the moment.
Yeah, yes, and I know quite a few mums, of course, who have really struggled with that whole balance of homeschooling their children plus work.
Yeah, absolutely.
And it's just been a battle for them to keep themselves sane. There's just been no room for self-care.
Exactly. I've always felt that humans aren't designed to spend 24 hours, 7 days a week with people. We're just not, even our children. And the strain that it's had physically, emotionally and mentally, it's been there's absolutely no room for self-care. And, I feel like, dare I say it, school holidays are just around the corner. 2 weeks.
Yeah.
2 weeks today. So we've just sort of got back into, well, Victorian mums particularly, Melbourne mums, into a bit of a routine, sending the kids back to school. And now we've got 7 or 8 weeks of holidays coming up. It's overwhelming. I'm feeling overwhelmed. So
more time to go crazy.
Yeah. I do. Particularly, mums who have been experiencing this in Melbourne, because they've had the toughest. I'm in Geelong, so I'm a little bit out. Our lockdowns haven't been as bad, but pretty bad as in Victoria. But yeah.
So what is it that you're doing specifically to help mums in their self-care?
So I really would like, and again, I guess going back to the question you asked me before, I really would like mums and their supports, particularly husbands, partners, fathers, to be able to recognise the importance of self-care for mums. And that means taking time away from the house for themselves, not having time at home without anyone at home. This is cooking, still cleaning, tidying up, all the mum duties you'd usually have. So my idea with mumMEcations is to basically kidnap all the mums away from the house, take them to an amazing, gorgeous luxury destination, Airlie Beach, Magnetic Island, lots of destinations I've got planned for next year, and organise everything for them. So accommodation, dinners, massages, high teas, sunset cruises. So it's basically a weekend retreat, a self-care retreat, where the women that come along don't have to make any decisions or any bookings. And the biggest thing they'll probably decide for the weekend is what cocktail they're going to order or what they'll order for dinner.
Oh dear, choice.
Yeah, yes, choice. Terribly difficult. So,
what I want.
Yeah, sounds amazing.
I can eat what I want.
I know, and that's right. And have, a massive part of this is social connection. It's about being able to have that quality conversation with friends or make new friends. It's not about being interrupted every 5 seconds. Being able to enjoy going out for dinner and not having to worry about getting the kids home to bed, or not being able to eat your meal cold, hot or anything. It's going to be cold, finishing your drinks, and the best thing is sleeping in the next morning and having that complete uninterrupted sleep, which all the mums don't get.
not sharing your bed with the toddler.
Exactly. Yeah, that's right. Yep. It's real. The pain is real.
Yes, because there is all those different sayings around self-care where you have to fill your own bucket first.
To look after
if you don't,
else.
you can't be giving.
Yes.
And I know, even for me, self-care is something that I need to be focusing on myself. And like I said, I'm well and truly past the mother stage, but I still need to have that reminder, a constant reminder. Your bake sounds like I'd love to come.
Yeah. Oh yes, you would be so very welcome. I had a lady come. She was actually offered a funded place on a trip I managed to pull together a retreat to Lorne on the Great Ocean Road last November in between lockdowns.
Yeah.
And I had 18 women come along. It was amazing because I couldn't say no to anyone after the year we'd had. It's like everyone needs to come along. And one lady I offered a funded place to, she'd been through she's currently going through breast cancer treatment, was a single mum and was caring for an adult son with Down syndrome. And she brought along her sister and her mum, who was in her 80s, and she had an amazing time.
Oh, I bet
the three of them just had the most beautiful weekend. It was lovely. So, yeah. And, that was a really good trip for me to run and realise that, because it's not actually a structured group weekend, as in that we're not doing activities all the time, or it doesn't matter how many people come along, because everyone has their own time and just come together for meals really, and a welcome activity on the Friday afternoon. So
yeah, that's wonderful. And that's really what women need in this time. Especially mums, but that's something I've talked about with my friends too, about that need to just be able to go somewhere and not have to deal with anything.
Yeah.
Not have to think about, gee, we better get something to cook for dinner, or where we're going to get dinner. Or,
yes. Yeah. And
those things just go.
Yeah. And I feel like that, even if you were to try and get your girlfriends together for a weekend away, it'd be like, well, who's going to organise everything? Who's going to book it? How are we going to, oh, no, I can't go on that weekend. I can't go on that weekend. So with my model, it's like, no, you choose that you want to come away, decide where and when, and that's it. Literally, that's it. That's all you have to do. And I offer really flexible payment plans, because I realise, as a mum myself, I feel like mums often don't have extra money to spend on themselves. And if they do, we'll usually spend it on their kids, not ourselves.
Oh, yeah.
And I really want to make my retreats as accessible as possible. So I've had people pay $10 off a week before, which has been great. And if that means it's the difference between them getting some time for themselves, I really encourage that. So...
And you talked about that you do some funded.
Yes. So my idea, I was sort of looking at launching as a not-for-profit, but when I was in my startup phase, I couldn't really find the support and information that I needed. Mm-hmm. So over the a couple of years, I'd done a lot of research into grants and how I can provide funding for women who have been experiencing poor mental health and wellbeing related to caring for a child with a disability, having experienced domestic violence, substance abuse, financial hardship, cancer treatment, that sort of thing. And it became very apparent that the best way to go about that was to, in fact, run as a not-for-profit, which I'd initially wanted to start by doing. So I was offered funding for two women from Geelong, two local women from Geelong, to attend my lawn mumMEcation last November, and from an amazing businessman in Geelong, who's a wonderful part of our community. And it was just amazing. It was so exciting to get some nominations, and two so deserving women came along, and they had a lovely weekend, and I was really motivated to continue that. So I restructured to a not-for-profit, and now I can see that I still can get better access to funding and corporate sponsorship if I have my charity and deductible gift recipient status. So that's my next goal.
Yeah, and for women in those kind of situations, it is just life-changing to have these opportunities, to be able to just go away and not think about anything, not have to worry about the finances, because that can be really draining to start with. But just to think that I can just go and be normal.
Yeah, be me.
Just go and be me.
Whatever I want. Yeah.
And having that time just to be me.
Yeah.
When they've been pulled at, torn apart, under so much stress for whatever reason. Yeah, it's really a really important, really valuable thing to be offering them.
Yeah. I've recently, I think it was in September, ran a crowdfunding campaign with the Lift Women group and received enough funding to provide 6 women with a funded spot on my Geelong mumMEcation that I'd initially planned for November this year, but have rescheduled to February because we weren't sure what was going to happen with the lockdowns. And I put out a call out for nominations, and I was so overwhelmed. I received it might have even been over 50 nominations, and the stories I've read are just heartbreaking. And I was so upset. The first night when they started coming through, I was actually away in the Yarra Valley by myself having some time out, and I've just become I had a lot of anxiety and really upset because I was horrified at what I was reading, and that I couldn't provide more funded places. So I've allocated the 5 funded places, and these women are just so grateful. You know, it's not till February, but the fact that they were nominated and had received a funded place, they're so extremely grateful and so deserving, so needed at the moment.
Yeah. I bet you, when you read them, you wanted to have 50 funded places.
Oh, I did. I literally wanted to say yes to everyone. Yeah.
Yeah.
And I feel a little frustrated, I guess, that I can't. But I realise that I think the reality is that people are more likely to donate and provide donations and funding if they're able to claim it on their tax. So that's I think that'll be a really big step to be able to achieve that. So
true. Yeah. When people start to think about someone that is really deserving in their community, maybe
in their own circle, exactly.
They may even be able to raise money for that person.
Yes.
To say, I'd like this person to come along. Here's the funds.
Yep, that's right.
And that's
that's what I really want to encourage people to do. And especially partners. I've, in my own example, and I certainly don't want to generalise, but I feel like this has happened a lot. It's been very similar during the pandemic, is that the responsibility has completely 100% fallen back on the mum. So my husband has continued to go to work throughout the whole pandemic. His business was closed, not able to operate for 2.5 days when the construction issue hit in Melbourne recently.
Yes.
And, you know, his business, which he owns his business, has thrived, absolutely thrived. And from my own experience, I've had to shut down mumMEcations, basically, cancel. I think I had 9 cancelled retreats, thousands and thousands of dollars in refunds, and my support coordination work that I do to bring in an income was extremely limited because of the responsibility I had for the kids and remote learning. So it's, you know, now is the time. Now is the time, this is what I think, for partners and husbands and other significant others to realise what the kids' mum's been going through as a primary carer, and to acknowledge it, I guess, and to support it and to embrace it and to give them what they really need is some time out.
Well, if they're listening and they're wondering what to get the mothers in their lives, their partners, the mothers of their children.
Yes, the mothers
for
of
Christmas.
Their children.
What will I give them for Christmas this year that will really show them how much I appreciate them?
Mm-hmm. Yeah.
A gift.
Absolutely, that's right. An actual trip, an actual retreat, or a gift voucher to put towards their own retreat next year. And I have, with the payment plans, I also have a funcation fund where if someone would like to come on a trip but they're not sure when they can or where they'd like to go, they can set up a funcation fund and pay money into their account. So that helps them save. And then plus if they were to put some gift vouchers towards it, it's definitely a viable option. So, yeah, and also any profits are redistributed to providing another funded place for a woman. So, you know, it's a great gift, really, isn't it?
Yeah, it's a gift. It gives twice.
Yeah, exactly. That's right.
And some generous people might like to, they're wondering how they can make a difference this Christmas. They can give their partner a mumMEcation and plus provide funding for
that's
one of your other worthy people.
Yep. And I also have a pay it forward option, whereas if someone attends a retreat, they can choose to potentially pay for a meal or a spa treatment or any amount. So there's a lot of opportunity, I guess, to help lots of mums who need some desperately in need of a break.
Yes.
Yeah.
Yes. I can't agree with you more.
Yeah. So next year I plan my calendar at this stage my first one will be Geelong, and then I've got Sanctuary Cove on the Gold Coast, Kingscliff, Hobart, Glenelg, Magnetic Island, and I'm looking for a couple of Victorian ones for the end of next year. So it's very exciting. Some amazing places.
So lots of opportunities for people for women to relax and recharge and rediscover themselves.
Yeah, that's right. Yeah. And just also, connect. I feel like there's a lot of women have experienced social isolation during the pandemic. It's a really good opportunity to connect with other women that are, have been experiencing the same challenges and form new relationships. I found that on my retreats that I have run prior to COVID, the women that come away and don't know each other are best friends by the end of the weekend. It's lovely.
Yeah.
Some amazing relationships are formed.
Fantastic.
Yeah.
Well, I really love what you're doing, Alison. It's really inspiring that you've thought about this is what I needed, so maybe I can help other women to achieve finding themselves and giving that essential bit of self-care so that they can go home, and when they go home they're recharged and able to cope with their everyday life again.
That's exactly right. It's not just, it's beneficial for the whole family. It's a real flow-on effect. And I took 3 nights out in the Yarra Valley at the start of last week, and it was just incredible, like the change in mindset after resting and not having to, be responsible for facilitating everything and just coming home. And it's huge. It is absolutely huge and just so essential, regardless of where it is, or, just choose. I just encourage women to go away by themselves, even, like just commit. It's really about committing to taking the time out your own, not just emotional well-being, but also physical and, exhaustion, everything. We are living in a crazy, fast-paced, ever-changing world, and we need to be keeping on top of it for sure.
Yeah. I spend some time with other people where there's no pressure, no expectation to be or do anywhere. Anything is just what you need.
Yeah,
to
that's
enjoy.
right. Yep.
Yeah.
So the retreat packages include accommodation, meals, a spa, pampering treatment, a massage or something similar, welcome drinks and nibbles on the Friday afternoon, whether that be at an actual establishment or a sunset cruise or something like that, and usually a high tea during the weekend or something. And apart from that, there's nothing else organised. It's complete, free, relaxed downtime for you to choose to go back to bed for a sleep or read a book, go for a walk on the beach. There's no expectations whatsoever.
Fantastic. So where can people go to find out more?
My website, mumMEcations, www.mumMEcations, mumEcations.com.au, or Facebook and Instagram under mumMEcations. It's the best spots at this stage.
Awesome. So, Alison, before we go, one more question for you. If somebody had found something in their life that was important to them, what advice would you give them in far as taking it into making a difference to somebody else?
I have learnt from my own experience over the years, I guess relating to my childhood and upbringing, and I've always fought against the person that I really am, in that everything seemed a little bit unconventional, I guess, and not encouraged. And even to a certain extent, my personality, I'm quite a sensitive person, and I've always really hated that about myself and wanted to do things that just weren't encouraged. And I just got to the point where I was so miserable. And if you have a passion, particularly, that's has an element of social change and help, you'll just be miserable if you don't go for it. You have to just, I don't know, I just can't. I'm so glad I've got to the point now where I just really have, I don't take on board other people's thoughts or opinions. I know what I want to achieve and how I want to do it, and I know that I really want to be able to help people. And I feel like I've completely found my purpose now and my reason for being. And I want to show my girls that, I just feel like for me, I can only be truly happy if I'm making a difference, making a real difference, a positive change. And that's, I guess, what I want to show my girls. And I just, I feel like since COVID, there's been a lot of talk about people working in jobs that they don't want to do or living lives where they're not happy. And there's a real shift now to just, follow your heart and your passion and really embrace whatever it is you want to do. And I always sort of went into this thinking, well, if it doesn't work, then I've certainly tried. I've tried my best, and I'm willing to give anything a go, a very good crack. So, yeah. I think, and for me, so much change when I become a mum, so much, like good, bad, and ugly, really. And I just, I can see that I need to be following my passion and my heart, over the next 20 years while my girls grow, 10, 15, 20 years. Otherwise, I won't be a happy person. So,
yeah, and that's important.
Yeah, absolutely. So important.
So what I take from that is to trust that if something comes to you, it is for you to do.
You owe it to yourself, just about.
Yeah, and if it is for you to do, then something will open up. A way for you to do it will open up and come, and you'll be able to share that with the world.
Yeah,
and at least you've tried it.
Yeah, you have. And you never know where it's going to lead to. You know, as they say, I've always liked the saying, one door closes and many doors open, you know. Life's a bit of a choose your own adventure style, isn't it, really? You never know what's going to happen, where you're going to be taken next. So
yes. We don't, and that's what I'm looking forward to when I look at the next year. It's like,
absolutely.
Well, let's see where it will take me this year.
Yeah. What adventure are we going to go find ourselves on this year? Yeah.
Well, thank you so much for sharing with me this morning, Alison. I've really enjoyed speaking with you and learning all about mumMEcations.
Well, thanks for having me, Andrea. It's been great. Really, thank you.
Truly welcome. And that's all we have time for today in the Social Mission Revolution, and we'll be back next time with another Social Mission Revolutionist.
This has been the Social Mission Revolution with Andrea Putting. Join me again next week when we'll speak to another Social Mission Revolutionist who will inspire you on your journey to making your ultimate impact on the world.